Hello, DeSoto. Mayor Rick Walker here with another edition of Mayor's Minutes, recapping our August 6th City Council meeting. We started the evening by recognizing our summer intern, Dominic, and thanking him for the work he's done with city staff over the past few months. Dominic helped with a number of projects involving planning, parks, the community center study, and ordinance research. We certainly appreciate Dominic's work throughout the summer. On the consent agenda, we approved the minutes from our previous meeting, our pay ordinance, and permits for DeSoto days, along with an on-call agreement for lift station maintenance and easement and right-of-ways for the plats at Lexington Center and the carriage houses. Moving on into new business, the council approved an engineering agreement for the design of the replacement of well number 12 on the north side of the Kansas River. The reconstruction of that well will help provide raw water needed to fully utilize our expanded 8 million gallon per day water treatment plant. We were able to redirect some federal grant funds of nearly $960,000 toward the construction of the new well. Next, we approved an update to the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan for our recently expanded Wastewater Treatment Plant that incorporates the new facilities and site conditions and keeps the plant in compliance with KDHE permitting requirements. Next, we received an initial presentation from Digital Realty regarding their incentive request for a proposed data center in the Astra Enterprise Park. This was an initial presentation, and the council didn't approve a TIF agreement or project plan or any specific incentive amount. The application references two potential campuses at Astra. However, this incentive request only applies to their north 281-acre site near 99th Street and Lexington Avenue. If Digital Realty seeks incentives for the larger property to the south near 115th Street, that will require a separate application and approval process. This TIF district itself is not new. The entirety of the Astra Enterprise Park was placed within a TIF district in 2022 as part of the redevelopment of the former Sunflower Army ammunition plant. And in simple terms, it works by using a portion of the increased property value that's created by the redevelopment of the property. It takes that new property tax to reimburse eligible costs associated with the development, including site preparation, grading, underground utilities. And it's not a new tax imposed by the city on current residents or this property. It's a redirection of the taxes that are created out of the increased property value on this specific site. Our council asked questions about investment requirements and performance benchmarks, milestones, and accountability, and those details will be forthcoming as the development agreement is negotiated. There was also a question about when Digital Realty may be able to identify the end user of the campus, and representatives said those negotiations are underway, but because these are publicly traded companies, they cannot disclose that at this time. The key takeaway from this meeting is no new incentive was approved. We received a request at the initial presentation. The city will begin a review and negotiation process. Any proposed TIF plan or agreement will come back before the council at a future meeting and will include a public hearing process. Our next agenda item was a discussion about potentially adding another layer of city environmental oversight for large-scale industrial projects. The draft ordinance that was presented would give the city a greater role in reviewing environmental compliance and communicating potential concerns to appropriate agencies like Kansas Department of Health and Environment or the EPA. And one of the issues we are working through is that most federal environmental laws are currently enforced by KDHE and federal agencies, and the city cannot simply assume those enforcement powers. We also want to make sure that anything we establish would provide meaningful and additional oversight rather than us duplicating work that is already being done. No ordinance was adopted. The council agreed to continue working through some issues and bring this back for discussion at a future meeting. During our advisory reports, we got an update on the property tax relief program. The original budgeted amount was for $25,000, and we have so far received 64 applications with an average award of roughly $375. Because the program remains open through the end of the year, the council indicated its support to continue calling fund qualifying applicants, even if those might exceed the original $25,000 allocation. We also received some infrastructure news regarding Evening Star Road, which the portion south of Energy Way or 103rd Street is now open to traffic, and that part of the construction is complete. Lastly, during our council comments, Councilmember Patterson asked that 2 additional data center related policy issues might be brought forward for future discussions. Those requests included whether or not data centers should be moved to the city's M2 heavy industrial zoning classification, and whether the city should consider a temporary pause on economic incentives for future data center applicants. Those requests were meant to be brought forward for future discussion, and no action was taken on either item during our meeting on the 6th. And that is a recap of our August 6th meeting. As always, you can find the complete agenda packet and meeting video on our city's website if you'd like to watch the meeting in its entirety. Well, thanks for listening, and I'll see you around town.